I'm Stacy with Loving My Veteran. This video is in honor of our brave service men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Since this country was founded, over 1.3 million service members have given their lives to defend this great nation and to protect the Constitution. This video represents just a small percentage of them. To many, they may just be a number or a statistic. Each name read here, along with the others who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, are someone's son or daughter, someone's husband or wife, someone's father, someone's brother or sister, someone's uncle or aunt, someone's friend or battle buddy. Before you celebrate Memorial Day, take a few minutes to remember those who have died for our freedoms. Many of our warfighters could not leave the war behind, and they're becoming one of the 22 a day who take their own lives. We would like to thank our friends and partners at Behind the Service Podcast and the Let's to Live Foundation for all of their help with this project, as well as the veterans and the families who participated. We are proud to be Americans, where at least we know we are free, and we won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to all of us.
Hello, my name is Natalie Acevedo, and I am with Loving My Veteran. In honor of all our heroes in the United States military, may God bless them on their journey. May those who have died rest in peace and rest in the hands of God forever. Thank you for your service. Today, we honor the fallen. Christopher Robinson, John Thomas Stone, Lee Clayton, Justin L. O'Donohoe, David N. Timmons Jr., Jeffrey S. Wiecamp, John C. Griffith, Brian A. Brewster, Christopher T. Howick, Christopher B. Donaldson, Eric W. Toten, Joseph J. Fenty, Christian Longworth, Derek A. Stanley, Travis A. Van Zost, Curtis R. Meherir, Charles E. Munier, Russell M. Durgin, Roger P. Pena Jr., Patrick Damon, Forrest P. Ewins, Ian T. Sanchez, Brian J. Bradbury, Heath N. Craig, Patrick L. Liebert, Jared C. Monty, Joseph F. First III, Thomas D. Maholick, Justin R. Davis, Aaron M. Greiner, William T. Flanagan, Kevin F. Edgin, Robert P. Casson, Robert J. Chiomento, Eric Caban, David M. Hairholzer, Andrew Velez, Daniel A. Supley, Ragiello R. Garza Jr., James P. White Jr., and Andrew Small. Thank you for your sacrifice.
I am Libby with Behind the Service, and I would like to memorialize the names of the veterans who came home from war but couldn't leave it behind. Randy Sanford Abrams, Frank Adams, Austin Jonathan Adams, Christopher Jason Adams, Benjamin M. Adams, Kimberly Diane Agar, Armando G. Aguilar Jr., Kevin J. Alexander, Robert Joseph Allen, Hampton Mason Alley, James G. Alvarez III, Cameron Matthew Anthus, Donald Xavier Anthe, Nicholas Stephen Arrace, Jeremy Arciaga, Clifford James Avul V, Gregory Robert Avila, Brett Acock, Kathia Anias Badrami, Cody Lee Baker, Coy Bernard, James Barrett, Joshua Krajewski.
On Memorial Day, we honor my Uncle Sean E. Just. He works in the military, and we want to honor him as best as we can. He might not be with us now, but I know that he still lives in our hearts, and he is up there soon waiting for us to join him.
Hi, my name's Michelle, and I'm with Loving My Veteran. I'd like to take a moment this Memorial Day to honor the fallen, those who didn't make it home from war, and those who did make it home, however weren't unable to leave the war there, and became part of the 22 a day. Chance Shanetsky, Jason D. Schumerman, Kevin Matthew Scrans, Devin Lee Schuett, Jonathan J. Schultz, Jeremy Sears, Travis Selinsky, Brandon Selinsky, Jacob William Sexton, Larry K.J. Shelters III, Damon Shenefelt, Jonathan A. Shanks, Adam Thomas Sharp, James Dylan Schaffner, Dan Seidels, Isaac Sean Sims, Ronald B. Singleton, Nathaniel J. Slane, Ryan Smith, Ryan Robert Smith, Derek Ryan Smith, Ryan T. Smith, Andrew J. Smith, Brandon M. Smith, Michael Shane Sonnender, Daniel Sommers, Sean Philip Sommetz, John Wesley Sproul, Kenneth J. Stafford, Timothy D. Statler, Michael Strangelo, Adam Staten.
Hey everybody, this is Staff Sergeant Richard McCauley from the United States Army, retired type, one each and all that good stuff. But we're here to remember, and I just wanted to list off some names and call these names to remember the sacrifice of our heroes that we want to remember on not just on this weekend but all year round, and of course their families as well. But Specialist Sean E. Just, Sergeant Michael Kingman, Sergeant Jeremiah Wright, Sergeant John Jared Savage, Staff Sergeant Sean D. Diamond, Staff Sergeant J. Henning. We remember you. May you rest in peace, and may your families enjoy peace.
Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. These were the men that were killed in the Battle of Swan Lake, May 18th, 1969. Alan R. Culpepper, Larry J. Budd, Henry F. Evans, Robert L. Freeman, Larry L. Holmes, John J. Boskowski, Gary D. McCray, Ronnie E. Parker, Patrick L. Ross, Norman P. Singer, Dana M. Scotts, Gary L. Uplinger, and Philip L. Greiser. You have never been forgotten.
My name is Linda Ingram Hicks, the daughter of a retired Air Force officer who served in World War II and Korea. I am humbled on this Memorial Day to read the names of some of our servicemen and women who did not return and to honor their families. Army Specialist Andy Alance, Marine Lance Corporal Frank C. Allen, Army Sergeant Tony R. Applegate, Army Specialist Stephen E. Atherton, Army Corporal Stanley W. Bartusek, Army Specialist Cindy M. Bowden, Army Sergeant Lee A. Belias, Army Corporal Stephen E. Valens, Air Force First Lieutenant Thomas Clifford Bland, Air Force Staff Sergeant John P. Blessinger, Army Specialist John A. Bolivar, Army Specialist Joseph P. Bongiorni, Army Sergeant John T. Boxler, Air Force Captain Douglas L. Brandt, Army Sergeant Roger P. Berlinski, Air Force Senior Master Sergeant Paul G. Bugey, Army Specialist Tommy D. Butler, Army Staff Sergeant William T. Butts, Army Sergeant Jason C. Carr, Army Specialist Clarence A. Cash, Air Force Staff Sergeant Barry M. Clark.
Hi, my name's Michelle, and I'm with Loving My Veteran. And in remembrance on this Memorial Day, I'd like to take a moment for those war fighters that couldn't leave the war behind and became part of the 22 a day. Kyler A. Goff, Nicholas Anthony Gomez, Diego M. Gonzalez, Mark A. Bird Jr., Christopher Goski, Trevor Gould, Joseph Granville, Jacob Galley Gray, Sean T. Greery, David Andrew Green, Nick Gregory, David Jeremy Grimshaw, Justin Edward Grosvenor, Jonathan Guillory, Arthur Drew Guys, Nick Gunlick, Andrew T. Garul, Richard Gus Gustafson, John Guthrie, Javier Guzman, Robert Guzzo, Seth David Happener, Jeffrey Clayton Hackett, Corey Michael Hadley, Corey Blake Hafner, Brady James Hammer, Mon F. Hardy III, David A. Harp, Lindsay Marie Hartley, David Mitchell Hash, Todd Allen Hawk, Dale Nelson Henley, Armando Hernandez, Levi Spencer Hyatt, Steve T. Hilbert, Christopher Joseph Hirsch, Justin Wayne Hoffman, Matthew Scott Holman, Anthony Joseph Hamnick.
Peter Lineruth, John M. Luttrell, Stephen Michael Logan, Carlos Lopez Jr., Jeffrey Michael Lucy, Eric P. Ludwig Jr., Janos V. Lutz, Johnny, George J. McCullen IV, Nathan Mailer, Patrick Lewis Maloney, Ramon Alfonso Mancha, Brian Scott Mancini, Michael Mantunero, Hugo Manzo, Joshua Markle, Kevin M. Marsh, Jesse Michael Martin, Lizzie Mayer, Lauren McAlpine, Joshua McArdle, Ryan P. McCullough, Joseph Aaron McMath, Wyatt McNully, Richard McShane, Ashley Elizabeth Mice Lewis, Richard Patrick Melvin, Chuck Merrill.
Travin Johnson,
Michael Curry,
Zachary Endlessly,
William Freechuck,
Thomas Bostrick,
Benjamin Hall,
Tureen Harris,
Jordan Good,
Alan Austin,
Jeffrey Kettle,
Jesse Klauser,
Charles Kowalski III,
George Libby,
Scott Carney,
Daniel Miller,
Nicholas Carnes,
Rocky Herrera,
Bryce Howard,
Thomas Wilson.
Ciara Durkin.
Hi, I'm Heather from Oklahoma, and the names I'm going to be reading are Staff Sergeant Christopher M. Faukel, August 9, 2005. Specialist Christopher M. Katzenberger, August 11, 2005. Sergeant Edward R. Hesselton, August 11, 2005. Captain Jeremy A. Chandler, August 16, 2005. First Lieutenant Laura Margaret Walker, August 18, 2005.
Hi, my name is Michelle and I'm with Loving My Veteran. And today I'd like to take a moment and honor the fallen, both those who didn't make it home to us from the war and those who brought the war home with them and became part of the 22 a day. Mariketh Jason Stewart, Eric Stillman, Nolan Edward Stites, Sean Michael Stoddard, Michael D. Stover, Corey B. Sullivan, Matthew T. Swallow, Daniel R. Sweeney, Thomas J. Sweet II, Matthew M. Szymanski, Bonnie Tangoy, Brian Joseph Terra, Bradley Scott Tetting, Brian Theobald, Joshua David Thompson, Adam Joseph Thornton, Michael Mikey Thrower, Matthew Tyndall, Robert Tipton, Robert Edward Tolliver, John Toombs, Adam Douglas Trantham, Gregory John Travers II, Antonio F. Trejo, Patrick Louise Tubbs, Peter Yost Turner II, Jesse Daniel Valerio, Kelly R. Vernon, Rick Michael Villani, Travis M. Vergadama, David Maxwell Walker II, Matthew Emmett Walmsley, Michael Rock Ware,
Daniel Leon Kissling Jr., Gregory Michael Frampton, Mark Osteen, Michael C. Berry, Brian Michael Clemens, Rodrigo Gonzalez Garza, Timothy Wayne Malling, John D. Smith, Spence A. McNeil, James R. Dillon Jr., John Stein, Michael Maltz, Jason Carlisle Hicks, Jason Thomas Plight, John Mike Teal, Tamara Long Archuleta, Orlando Morales, Jacob L. Frazier, Jared R. Dennis, Raymond Lasano, George Daniel Harrison, Andrew L. Toison, Ashley L. Henderson, William E. Hassenflue, Roberto A. Hernandez, Jonathan C. O'Neill.
Specialist Benjamin William Lee, U.S. Army. Sergeant David A. Davis, U.S. Army.
I'm Stacy.
Hey.
This Memorial Day, we're honoring those who've lost their lives for our country. Not everyone left the war overseas. Many of them brought them home, and as a result, they are part of the 22 a day. William Brian Verstner,
David Fickle,
Chad Fike,
Curtis Fike,
Amy Philbeck,
Daniel Flaw,
David Folsom,
Tim Foray,
Matthew W. Forstrom,
Dane Friedman,
Kevin Fultz Jr.,
Aaron A. Furness,
Brian Gammon,
Dominic S. Garcia,
Alex Mitchell Garvin,
Roy R. Garvick,
Curtis L. Gearhart,
Joseph Scott Gellings,
Jacob David George,
Michael Anthony George,
Farrell A. Gillum,
Dustin A. Oh, I can't read that. Gibson.
Good morning. I'm Ron from Oklahoma. I'd like to recognize Sergeant Michael J. Kelly, June 8, 2005. Private First Class Emmanuel Hernandez, June 10th, 2005. Sergeant First Class Victor J. Cervantes, June the 16th, 2005. And Staff Sergeant Christopher N. Piper, June 22nd, 2005. And Major Dwayne W. Dively, June 25th, 2005.
Okay. Ready?
I'm Haley.
I'm Joe. Jeffrey Roberson.
Chris Kleinwatcher. Joseph Fanoof II. Long Nguyen, Lakita James,
Timothy Lewis,
John Quinlan,
Brandon Gordon,
Adam Wilkinson,
Scott Duffman,
Christopher D. Thomas,
Travis Vaughn,
Herschel McCrants Jr.,
is that enough?
Buddy Huey,
It's doing that stupid thing again. Christopher Fernandez,
Daniel Zumbo,
Gregory Fejeron,
Edmund McDonald,
Augustine Gutierrez,
Christopher Wilson,
is there one in there?
Connor G. Masterson,
Afghanistan, I don't see a name.
Edelman L. Hernandez,
Casey Combs,
David Stevens, Alex Van Elton,
I see Michael Thomas. Okay, I think that's it.
Hi, my name is Hannah and I'm from Oklahoma, and the names I will be reading are Sergeant Jason T. Palmerton, July 25th, 2005, Staff Sergeant Michael W. Schaefer, August 4th, 2005, Sergeant Theodore Clark Jr., August 4th, 2005, Private First Class Damian J. Garza, August 4th, 2005, and Private John M. Henderson Jr., August 7th, 2005.
Jonathan Mesenbrink, Brandon Myers, Tamara Mickle, Richard Joseph Miles, Ben Miller, Keith Anthony Miller, Joshua Thomas Miller, Jeffrey Allen Mitchell, Geraldo Andre Mora Cruz, Matthew Moran, Brian Morgan, Adam E. Morse, Jeffrey Alexander Mount, Gary E. Murray, John Naholnik, George Douglas Naisfer, Will Thomas Nagel, Ryan Nelson, Daniel Nierstrom, Christopher Aaron Nikowski, John Austin O'Berry.
Hi, we're Chris and Kelly from Oklahoma. We'd like to remember and recognize Staff Sergeant Romaines L. Woodard, April 6th, 2005. Major Edward J. Murphy, April 6th, 2005. Specialist Michael K. Spivey, April 6th, 2005. Staff Sergeant Charles R. Sanders, Jr., April 6th, 2005. Sergeant Major Barbara Banks, April 6th, 2005. Chief Warrant Officer Clint J. Prather, April 6, 2005. Master Sergeant Edwin A. Modescullen, April 6, 2005. Chief Warrant Officer David Aya, April 6, 2005. Private First Class Pendleton L. Sykes II, April 6, 2005. Specialist Crystal Gay Stout, April 6, 2005.
And I'd like to recognize Sergeant James Sean Lee, April 6, 2005, Captain David S. Conley, April 23, 2005, Sergeant First Class Alan C. Johnson, May 8, 2005, Lance Corporal Nichols C. Kiervan, May 8, 2005, Corporal Richard P. Schooner, April 21st, 2005. Corporal Stephen Charles Tucker, May 23rd, 2005. Private First Class Kyle M. Auner, June 3rd, 2005. Captain Charles D. Robinson, June 3rd, 2005. And Staff Sergeant Leroy E. Alexander, June 8th, 2005.
Sean F. Hill, James K. Healy, Michael L. Green, David J. Draculich, Richard J. Barrettini, Robert J. Miller, Matthew Ryan Collar, Donald T. Tabb, Robert T. Rapp, Stephen R. Koch, Gabriel Guzman, Colin J. Bowen, Antoine V. Robinson, William R. Neal, William H. Jefferson, Jr., Dustin L. Canham, Nicholas A. Robertson, Luke J. Mercadante, Kyle W. Wilkes, David L. McDowell, Jonathan A. Yellner, Jeremy R. Gullett, Kevin C. Roberts, Isaac Palomares, Ara T. Dicey, William W. Brown, Paul Ray Smith, Medal of Honor recipient, John W. Neely II, Lincoln D. Hollinshead, Jason M. Meyer, Leroy Segura, Jr.
Hi, my name's Michelle and I'm with Loving My Veteran. I'd like to take a moment this Memorial Day to honor the fallen, those who didn't make it home from war, and those who did make it home, however weren't unable to leave the war there, and became part of the 22 a day. Chance Shanetsky, Jason D. Schumerman, Kevin Matthew Scrans, Devin Lee Schuett, Jonathan J. Schultz, Jeremy Sears, Travis Solinsky, Brandon Solinsky, Jacob William Sexton, Larry K.J. Shelters III, Damon Shanafelt, Jonathan A. Shanks, Adam Thomas Sharp, James Dylan Schaffner, Dan Seidels, Isaac Sean Sims, Ronald B. Singleton, Nathaniel J. Slane, Ryan Smith, Ryan Robert Smith, Derek Ryan Smith, Ryan T. Smith, Andrew J. Smith, Brandon M. Smith, Michael Shane Sonnender, Daniel Sommers, Sean Philip Sommetz, John Wesley Sproul, Kenneth J. Stafford, Timothy D. Statler, Michael Strangelo, Adam Staten.
My name is Jeanette, and I'm from Oklahoma. Lance Corporal Kevin B. Joyce, June 26, 2005. Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy, June 28, 2005. Lieutenant Michael M. McGreevy, Jr., June 28, 2005. Second Class Petty Officer Matthew G. Axelson, June 28, 2005. Second Class Petty Officer Danny P. Dietz, June 28, 2005.
Many of our veterans bring the war home with them, and as a result, they become part of the 22 a day. They are
Jonathan Darden,
Justin Davis,
Claude Davis Jr.,
Lance Davidson,
Ryan James Day,
Michael V. Del Campo Sr.,
Michael Albert Demers,
Levi Derby,
Matthew A. Derby,
Justin Dillingham,
Pamela K. Dowling,
Jonathan Dowling,
Thomas Avery Boyle,
Paul Dragos,
Sean Duran,
Damon Eckstein,
William Edwards III,
Cody Engine,
Chad
Epinetti,
Epinetti,
Damon Epinetti,
William Ewing,
Zachary Falk,
Christopher Howell.
This is in honor of Sergeant Robert G. Davis, Lance Corporal Philip C. George, Sergeant Michael R. Laymiller, Private Christopher L. Palmer, and First Lieutenant Joshua M. Highland.
Hello, my name is Michelle and I'm with Loving My Veteran, and I'd like to take a moment this Memorial Day and honor those who didn't make it back from the war, and also those who brought the war home and have become part of the 22 a day. Sean Michael Brake, Michael J. Brammer, Matthew Michael Brennan, Corey William Brooks, Jamie Ann Brunette, Brandon W. Bryan, Cameron Ryan Bull, Paul Burchard, Carl Thomas Bergdorf, Peter Burgos, Evan Burnett, Raymond James Burnside, William Busby, Benjamin P. Calvin, Casey Ryan Capana, Benjamin Charles Campbell, Casey Keenan Carlisle, John W. Carroll, Antoine Castianenda, Donald Christopher Castillo, Sophie Kenpow, Sean J. Childress, Chad Chisholm, James Siccone, Christopher Lee Clark, Travis Clark, Clayton Allen Clark Jr., Jeffrey Collins, Stephen Thomas Conning, Brennan Kyle Conklin, Patrick Conlin, Chad Julius Contrantius, Leonardo A. Contreras, James C. Coons, Jason E. Cooper, Richard M. Cosma, Chris Cooch Coutier, Bradley Lawrence Coy, Richard Lee Chris Jr., Thomas Bruce Cullen, Jared William Curry, Dale William Kelsey, Rory H. Daglish, Christopher M. Dana. Thank you for your service.
Sean F. Hill, James K. Healy, Michael L. Green, David J. Draculich, Richard J. Berrettini, Robert J. Miller, Matthew Ryan Collar, Donald T. Tabb, Robert T. Rapp, Stephen R. Koch, Gabriel Guzman, Colin J. Bowen, Antoine V. Robinson, William R. Neal, William H. Jefferson, Jr., Dustin L. Canham, Nicholas A. Robertson, Luke J. Mercadante, Kyle W. Wilkes, David L. McDowell, Jonathan A. Yellner, Jeremy R. Gullett, Kevin C. Roberts, Isaac Palomares, Ara T. Dicey, William W. Brown, Paul Ray Smith, Medal of Honor recipient, John W. Neely II, Lincoln D. Hollinshead, Jason M. Meyer, Leroy Segura, Jr.,
Terry O'Hearn, Brian Adirone, Paul Joseph Oliver, Joshua Lee Omig, Nicholas Outhouse, Casey Owens, Justin Pack, Joshua Parlata, Christopher Palmer, Thomas Palooza, Todd Parisi, Robert Parkhill, Todd Patterson, Michael John Pelkey, Lee J. Helton, Samuel Peterson, Scott Pickrell, Quentin Picone, Noah Pierce, Jane Owen Pahovey, Brian Lee Portwine, Zach Potter, Charles Powell Jr., Scott Prowlerson, Matthew Prestige, Michael Price, Matthew Pritchett, Colton Puckett, Alex Ramon III, William Ramison, Nick Ramison, Samir Rateb, Jeffrey Reber, Donald Reedon, Michael Reed, Sean Riley, Elizus Reyes Jr., Thomas Rhodes.
Good day to you. My name is Mark DiGirolamo, just a patriot of the United States, and it's an honor to read the names of some of the men and women who have paid the ultimate price for our great nation. John E. Taylor, Seth R. Michard, Thomas E. Breitzer, Kelvin Valenciano Gutierrez, Christopher P. Geiger, Christopher Lance Clark, David M. Tapper, Mitchell A. Lane, Chad C. Fuller, Adam L. Thomas, Christian E. Parker, Evan W. O'Neill, Paul W. Kimborough, Paul Sweeney, J. A. Blessing, Thomas A. Walkup Jr., Stephen Plumhoff, Howard A. Walters, Philip R. Albert, William J. Kerwood, Curtis Mancini, James D. Moros, Justin A. Scott, Danton K. Seintinger, Benjamin L. Gilman, Sean M. Clemens, Nichols Darwin Golding, David E. Hall, Michael J. Esposito, Anthony S. Langman, Dennis Hala Jr., Adrian Basil Sedgwick, Ronald R. Payne Jr., Bruce E. Price, Daniel E. Eggers, Robert J. Mungunson, Herbert R. Clonch, Patrick D. Tillman, Philip L. Witkowski, Brandon James Wadman, Theodore L. Perron, Roy A. Wood, Robert J. Cook, Adam G. Kinzer, Joseph A. Jeffries, Brian J. Olette, William H. Smoyer, Vincent DiGirolamo. God bless America.
This is in honor of Lance Corporal Stephen A. Valdez, Staff Sergeant John G. Doles, Sergeant First Class James J. Stoddard Jr., Sergeant First Class Moses E. Armstead, Private First Class Benny S. Franklin, and my uncle, Seaman Second Class Lloyd Dale Clippard.
This is in honor of Staff Sergeant Troy S. Ezernak, Specialist Scott J. Mullen, Private First Class Joseph Cruz, Staff Sergeant Travis W. Nixon, Sergeant First Class James S. Oshner, and our uncle, Brown Gillespie.
S. Clark, Milford R. Collins, Aaron B. Cooper, Mark A. Conley, William T. Caston, Ishmael Coate, Alan B. Craver, David R. Crumby, Michael C. Danion, Roy T. Damon, Michael D. Daniels, Manuel A. DeVille, Marty R. Davis, Roland A. Diasen, Louis Diedo, Young Dillon, David Q. Deweeth, Robert J. Dewar, Paul R. Inchanan, Mario Fernando, Stephen P. Farron, Elson Felix,
Corey Clark,
Henry Officer,
Scott Ball,
Jane Argonish,
Patrick McGani,
Michael Miller,
Travis Woods,
Matthew Balaski,
Charles Milam,
Christopher Pfeiffer,
Matthew Taylor,
Zachary Tellier,
Mark Cannon,
Adam Quinn,
Larry Rugel,
Edward Philpott.
Joshua Brennan.
Hugo Mendoza.
Joseph Curry.
Thomas Bruner.
Jeffrey Caluro.
James Bullard.
Johnny Walls.
And Joseph LaCour.
Hi, my name is Adeline, and I'm from Oklahoma, and the names I'm reading are Chief Warrant Officer Corey J. Nature, June 28, 2005. Sergeant Kip A. Jacoby, June 28, 2005. First Sergeant Marcus V. Morales, June 28, 2005. Master Sergeant James W. Trey Ponder III, June 28, 2005. First Class Petty Officer Jeffrey A. Lucas, July 23, 2005.
Jason D. Hovaterra.
Sergio A. S. Abad.
Gunnar W. Zeemoon.
Mitchell W. Young.
Israel Garcia.
Willington M. Rhodes.
Jason D. Mann.
Nick A. Derswist.
Stephen Osh. Read these in order of the right, first to last.
Howard Overture.
Stephen Stevenson.
Greg Thornhill.
Tom Cole.
Clyde Matthews.
Frank Ensetta.
Scott Michaels.
I am a proud wife of a Marine Corps veteran, and I'm honored to read off these names. Army Specialist Douglas L. Fielder, Army Private Michael L. Fitz, Air Force Captain Arthur Galvan, Army Chief Warrant Officer Philip M. Garvey, Army Sergeant Kenneth B. Gentry, Army Chief Warrant Officer Robert G. Godfrey, Marine Lance Corporal Troy L. Gregory, Air Force Captain William D. Grimm, Army Sergeant Michael A. Harris, Jr., Air Force Staff Sergeant Timothy R. Harrison, Army Sergeant Jimmy Dwayne Hawes, Marine Sergeant James D. Hawthorne, Army Specialist Timothy Hill, Air Force Tech Sergeant Robert K. Hodges, Air Force Major Donnie R. Holland, Army Specialist Dwayne W. Holland, Army Private First Class Aaron W. Howard, Army Private First Class John W. Hudo, Marine Lance Corporal Thomas A. Jenkins. Thank you all for your service.
Hi, I'm Brian from Oklahoma, and the names I'm reading are Chief Petty Officer Jacques J. Fontaine, June 28, 2005. Chief Warrant Officer Chris J. Schirkenbach, June 28, 2005. Staff Sergeant Seamus O. Gore, June 28, 2005. Sergeant First Class Michael L. Russell, June 28, 2005. Major Stephen C. Reich, June 28, 2005. First Lieutenant Damon Lehan, August 14, 2011.
Edgar A. Palmeter, Mark C. McKay, Joseph A. Hunsberger, Travis K. Treber, James M. Simmons, Sean E. Rodamorales, Jeffrey M. Turner, Estelle L. Bull, Douglas J. Guerrero, Brian S. Mora, Samson A. Bogger, Jason M. Brostrom, Jonathan P. Rainey, Pruitt A. Phillips, Matthew B. Ayers.
Jeremy R. Green, Joseph G. Harris, James W. Harrison, Jr., Roberto Sabalo, Jr., Timothy P. Paget, Larry J. Bagas, Jr., Joshua R. Whitaker, Charles L. Bagwell, Brandon D. Hadway, James Bellamers, Christopher M. Aguirre, Joshua R. Rogers, Charles R. Browning, Michael A. Robinson, Jacob Michael Lowell, Timothy R. Bimotu, Charles E. Wycliffe Jr., Claire Sinengard, Peter Graves. My name is Elisa Wright. I am with Loving My Veteran, and I apologize to the families if I have mispronounced your names. Happy Memorial Day.
Hello, my name is Olivia. I'm from Oklahoma, and the names I'm going to read off are First Class Petty Officer Jeffrey S. Taylor, June 28, 2005. Second Class Petty Officer James Sue, June 28, 2005. Second Class Petty Officer Eric Shane Patton, June 28, 2005. Lieutenant Commander Eric S. Christensen, June 28, 2005. Senior Chief Petty Officer Daniel R. Healy, June 28, 2005.
Hello everyone, my name is Arvi. I am a Marine Corps veteran. I served from 1988 to 1993 in the Persian Gulf War, both Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. This is take like 700,000 for me. I always seem to screw it up at some point, but let's see if we can get through this one. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone there at Loving My Veteran. Always know that what you're doing is making a difference in people's lives. You have touched my wife and helped her through some difficult times. You have helped me. So please know that what you're doing, all your efforts, all your hard work, it is making a difference. I'd also like to thank you for inviting all of us to participate in this memorial tribute. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm honored to be a part of it. That being said, I'm going to read these lists of names of people who served and gave their lives and made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. If I butcher any names, please forgive me. Unfortunately, it was not written in crayon. Army Sergeant Jonathan H. Cam of Mason, Ohio. Air Force Sergeant Damon V. Kanua of San Diego, California. Army Specialist Frank S. Koff of North Huntington, Pennsylvania. Army Specialist Anthony W. Kidd of Lima, Ohio. Army Private First Class Jerry L. King of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Air Force Major Thomas F. Koritz of Rochelle, Illinois. Army Private First Class David W. Kramer of Palm Desert, California. Army Sergeant Edwin B. Cutts of Sunnymead, California. Marine Lance Corporal Brian L. Lane of Bedford, Indiana. Marine Lance Corporal Michael E. Linderman, Jr. of Roseburg, Oregon. Marine Lance Corporal James H. Lumpkins of New Richmond, Ohio. Army Specialist Anthony Madison of Monison, Pennsylvania. Army Specialist Stephen J. Mason of Paragould, Arkansas. Army Specialist Christine L. Mays of Rochester Mills, Pennsylvania. Army Corporal James R. McCoy of Wilmington, Delaware. Army Specialist Jeffrey T. Middleton of Oxford, Kansas. Army Specialist James R. Miller, Jr. of Decatur, Indiana. Army Specialist Michael W. Mills, Jefferson, Iowa. Army Private First Class Adrian L. Mitchell of Moreno Valley, California. I would also like to add 8 more names to this list. These men, these Marines, were my friends. Sergeant Kenneth T. Keller. Sergeant John R. Kilkis. Corporal Timothy W. Ramey. Corporal Thomas R. Adams. Captains William D. Cronin Jr., Gary S. Dillon, Kevin R. Dolvin, William J. Hurley, some of the finest Marines that I had the honor of serving with. Please remember, all of these men and women gave the ultimate sacrifice for their country. Remember them. And thank you again for letting us be a part of this.